Hello, hello, everybody. Hello. I'm in the center of the screen, and you know what that means. It's time for a little rant. Oh boy, because I'm upset. I'm peeved. I'm incensed right now, and I have been for a little while. And I think you know why. And at least anyone who's in the gaming space knows why. Um, well, the reason for that is, well, you should know why. Sony. It's Sony. Sony has announced that as of January 2028, they will be ceasing all production of discs for PlayStation consoles. Past, present, and future, essentially. Right? All of them. Oh yeah, by the way, if you hear any background noise, like any fan sounding noise, that's my portable AC unit. I apologize, it's really hot out. I gotta have it. It's right behind me. I don't have much space. Hopefully there's background music that'll drown this out that I do in post, so yeah. If you do hear it, I'm sorry. Now, anyway, back to the topic at hand. Sony. So yeah, anyone who's aware is aware of that. And I think, like many realize, at least those of you who are engaged in gaming as a hobby than just a casual thing, I guess, you know, if it's more your primary hobby rather than just a casual form of entertainment that you engage in a little bit, right? You would know that this is bullshit. This is a crock of shit. This is a horrible, horrible, horrible idea in just about every possible way. And it's horrible on multiple different levels. Yeah, that's right, multiple different levels. So, there's one angle that I personally would strike it at, and that is an angle that I went after during the Stop Killing Games video I made when I ranted about pirate software, right? And that is the preservation angle. Because, again, I have made it very clear before, I'm one of those people who puts video games in very high regard as a form of art and culture that deserves to be preserved for the future. I think pretty much any and all video games, however stupid they might be, deserve to be preserved in some capacity. Every game, you like it or not, is in some way, a sort of time capsule of the period it was developed and released in. Obviously, just like movies, just like TV, books, and so on, there are trends, there are technological limitations, and so on. Creators come and go along with their creations, right? They leave their creations behind, that is, and we should be able to see their creations and as a way of understanding who the creators were, etc., etc. You know, all the same reasons you would want to preserve any other form of art, right? And this idea of going all digital completely removes that idea of preservation. Because while digital does help preserve games, yes, obviously, because physical media does die out eventually, even if it's nowhere near as fragile as a lot of people like to claim it is, especially for things like video game cartridges or video game discs. If you take care of them even a little bit, or at least, don't throw them around or twist them or bend them or, do anything to actively hurt them, stuff like disc rot isn't necessarily that big of a deal. Like, yeah, sure, it's a thing, but it's not actually like as much of some grand epidemic that some people like to doomsay over, right? These things can last a long ass time. That's what I'm saying. They can last a long ass time, so they're still very much valuable. While yes, backing them up onto hard drives and the like, and then preserving them in a digital format and things like the Internet Archive is important, Having them only ever be available in the digital format is a horrible idea, especially for something like a console. Because, as we have seen, this is coming in the wake of Sony announcing that they are going to remove about, I believe it was 551 movies and TV shows from people's digital libraries on PlayStation because of a licensing agreement with, was it Canal something that ran out? It's like their agreement with the company ran out, and so you, the consumer, lose access to the product that you bought. Now that's a consumer's rights thing. That's not a culture thing. They sort of get weaved together after a while, but the idea is there, right? The company essentially gains the ability to completely strip away, to just completely wipe away any aspect of art and culture that they want, whenever they want, for the sake of doing things like driving up the sales of the next console or whatever, right? Or because their own licensing agreement ran out because they didn't care to think that far ahead, or, you know, they didn't care to actually preserve the product. They just thought, we'll have it last like 10, 20 years, and then when it runs out, we'll just get rid of it. No one will care, right? No one will care. They don't actually care about preserving the products themselves for future generations. We'll just wipe them away, right? And so that's the cultural protection aspect. And then, as I alluded to earlier, there's the consumer rights aspect, where everything is still sold to you as if you are buying it, right? As if you're buying a product. When, you know, people now will tell you, well, actually, you're buying the digital license that gives you the permission to use the product, essentially, right? People will, you know, well, actually you about that, right? But that exists only in the fine print. That exists in EULAs, in TOSs. These are fine print agreements that exist for the sole purpose of covering these companies' asses so that they don't get sued for pulling this bullshit. That's the only reason they exist. They're not there for actual, like, consumer protection reasons or anything. They're not... It's not like a... They're not advertising it as selling you a license, essentially. They're not advertising it as you renting a product for a single purchase. They're advertising it as you buying a product digitally. The implication in that being, like, that's the way it's always been sold, right? You're always told you're buying the thing. You're not buying the license. You're not buying or renting or anything like that. That's how it's always been told. So they're just doing this fine print thing while they're trying to have their cake and eat it too, essentially, right? They're trying to have people buy with the confidence of someone who gets to own a product, but not actually have to deal with the responsibilities of giving someone a product that they own, and instead keeping total control of the product to themselves. And we already know that companies like Sony we already know that they can and will take this shit away from you, as we've seen with the movies and TV shows from Canal. From Canal something. I can never remember the other part of their name. So, yeah, it's kind of hard to like, it's hard, there's no real goodwill there, you know? There's no goodwill in that area, right? You know? You know what I'm saying? It's kind of hard to think, oh, well, they won't abuse this. They absolutely will fucking abuse it. What do you mean? It's Sony. They've already proven that they've already proven they'll abuse it. they are more than happy to abuse this control. And they've been the subject of multiple lawsuits because they've tried abusing this control by trying to strong-arm retailers into doing things like not selling digital codes for PlayStation games, whereas other companies will allow you to sell digital codes for their games. Sony, not so much, because that would mean that Sony has less control over their store, over their market, over how PlayStation games are sold. They want total control. And part of that is by wiping out the physical market, which not only wipes away the retailers as part of their competition, it wipes away the second-hand market, which also continues to undercut them by way of it being, second-hand. They're not buying from Sony, the second-hand market doesn't buy from Sony directly. They buy from it's people buying from each other. As well as, rentals like Gamefly and the like, who were kind of like retailers, but a little different. And yeah, Gamefly still exists. I'm just as shocked as you are. So there's all of that, and the implications that, Sony's basically trying to create this walled garden similar to Apple, where they determine all the prices, and they get to not only save money on production shipping costs, the logistics of shipping a physical game, but they also get all the benefits of selling a physical game, in the sense that we already know they're not going to lower the prices of digital games, because they haven't. All these digital games out there, even the digital only ones, and we'll get into that later, are still sold at MSRP. For fuck's sake. The fucking, God of War games are still sold at, fucking MSRP. When if you get one of those God of War games, the new ones at least, not the, older PS3 ones. At least last I checked, obviously I could be wrong here, I'm ranting right now. Last I checked, the God of War games like Ragnarok are still pretty much MSRP, if not at MSRP, on the PSN store digitally. Whereas if you were to buy one physically, you would get it for cheaper, because, it's an old game. Older games depreciate in price. They get cheaper, which inherently means that Sony gets less money out of it. So if they completely control the market, if the only way to get PlayStation games is digitally, well then you're stuck paying MSRP, motherfucker. Deal with it. That's the kind of mentality we're dealing with here. And then again, once Sony decides that the generation is over, that their console generation is over, and they want to try and prod you into getting the next console, they're just gonna come up with excuses to lock you out of your old games. Or at least that's what they can do, and given what's been going on, what they probably will do. Because who the fuck knows at this point? Clearly a lot of these companies are willing to do damn near anything they want. And then, lastly, there is the excuse for all of this behavior. The excuse being that, well, the vast majority of games are bought digitally anyway, so it doesn't matter. And all those of you who prefer your physical media are this loud fringe minority who don't actually matter, and that most of you will move along and start buying digital on PlayStation anyway. Right? Well, let's get into that justification, because conveniently there is I discovered somebody who I should point out, I don't have any affiliation with this guy. I don't have any immediate affiliation with this guy. I've never heard of this guy before or seen him beforehand. I just came across these tweets of his when all of this started exploding, and where he essentially crunched some of the numbers right? To take a look at this excuse that gets thrown around. And specifically, it is this excuse. Let me bring it over to my main scene, if you will. That's missing the desktop. Hold on. I'm doing this all by hand here because I'm too upset to be asked to prepare right now. Let me get rid of the rat. Here we go. Clear up space. Display. Okay. So, yeah, by the way, that's right. I have a Twitter now. It's been a long time, but I do now have a Twitter. So if you're interested in that, in my goings on over there, you can follow me over there. But yeah, it's this guy, Canadian Guy or Canadian Guy A, right? Again, never seen this guy before, never heard of him before, but I just came across these tweets and I was like, there we go, right? He did some of the good old number crunching, essentially, where he essentially looked into this excuse. And this excuse, the specific number that gets thrown around is that 85% of games bought on PlayStation are digital. So the reasoning goes, 85% of games bought on PlayStation are digital anyways, therefore just move to all digital, and chances are most of that minority who don't buy digitally will move along anyway, and if they don't, then their money won't matter because it's so small. So the idea is this true? Is this true? And in what capacity is this true? As he points out, this number is skewed. It is what I would call smoke and mirrors. This whole thing is basically just smoke and mirrors, right? Because as he points out, this number does not actually account, since it accounts for all games bought on PlayStation. This number does not account for all of the PlayStation games that are digital only, aka games that do not have a physical release to compare with. So every single game, whether it is a digital, this like $100 digital deluxe edition, or one of those $1 slot games that people buy just to give themselves a platinum trophy the moment they open the game, right? Because, there's a bunch of that garbage on the PSN store. All of it. Every single one of those digital-only products goes towards this statistic of all games being bought digitally. Doesn't matter what their price is, it doesn't matter, the quality or anything. They're all the same. A purchase of any of those is the exact same thing. They all tick that number up by 1, right? So, as he points out, this is essentially like comparing your local Walmart or general store to like Amazon that has fucking everything. It's like obviously Amazon's going to sell more product than your local Walmart because Amazon is everything and everywhere, right? So not only is that frustrating, but then, as he points out, oh yeah, and a little bonus he points out here, apparently, according as of October 2024, 82% of all PlayStation consoles had the disc edition, the virtual version of the PS5, just didn't sell nearly as much. And we know this from this post over here, which shows their own numbers, right? So that's one thing to take into consideration. And then he decided to prod a little bit more. This is where the real number crunching happens. So, figures out that in total there are 7,590 games on the PS5. That's not DLC, that's not microtransactions, that's just video games. If you cut out the free-to-play games, that's 7,451. Because obviously, you don't count the free-to-play games because they cost nothing in the first place. They don't count towards profit to begin with. At least the purchase does. At least the purchase doesn't. The microtransactions do, the purchase doesn't. Now, as he also points out, of those 7,451 games, 1,120 are printed games, i.e. 1,120 of them have physical copies. Do you see the discrepancy here yet? Because I sure as shit do. And so we run off of the assumption that each of those games has a digital counterpart, which, I mean, why wouldn't they? And you subtract those from the overall, and you get 6,331. And again, this is counting everything from, as he points out, $100 special editions to the fucking $1 platinum trophy games. And then if you run the numbers again and you do the division, you find out that this accounts for 84.96% of all games on PlayStation. So that means, and that number is suspiciously close to that 85% number that people keep throwing around, isn't it? That's right. This entire thing is a game of smoke and fucking mirrors to gaslight you. Again, I'm using a lot of the terminology he is because what other conclusion? I came, I'm on the same conclusion that he is at this point, right? The numbers are not lying here, essentially. This is essentially one big smoke and mirrors gaslight to try and convince those of us who like our physical copies of video games that we're just a bunch of stupid fucking Luddites who just need to, realize that the time for physical media is gone and we need to move forward into the future because digital equals progress, right? The all digital future. That's the great progress of video games, right? Oh, it's so fucking stupid. And the entire thing is based on goddamn lies. The entire thing is based on deceit. The entire thing is meant to trick you. And for the last little bit, as it's been pointed out before, not just by this guy, but by others, remember those Insomniac leaks from 2022? Yeah, that revealed that 31 out of 33 of PlayStation's first-party games, PlayStation's first-party titles, so like they're exclusives and shit, sold more physically than digitally. And most recently, that included Astrobot, which, if I recall correctly, in specific circumstances, sold 55% more in the UK and 60% more in Europe as a whole. Yeah. So this is a crock of horse shit. This entire thing is nothing but greedy horse shit from Sony trying to push an all-digital future on you so they can completely control the PlayStation market, and therefore squeeze even more money out of you without you having any possible recourse against it. No secondhand market, no physical retailer, no renting, nothing. You don't get jack shit. And when Sony decides the generation is up and they want to push the next console, they'll find excuses to make it harder and harder for you to access your older digital library, with things like expiring licensing agreements, allowing them to legally just wipe away all of the games from your library and say, go buy the next console instead. As we've seen already with the movies. It's starting with the movies, it's going to move over into video games eventually. We've already seen it happen with video games because we've seen it happen with The Crew. The thing that started the Stop Killing Games movement way back when was people having The Crew get removed from their libraries by Ubisoft because Ubisoft's licenses for copyrighted material in The Crew expired. And instead of doing anything to help preserve The Crew, like renewing the agreement or creating a new agreement that allows the game to exist in perpetuity, they just took the game away. So, yeah. We already know this can happen. We already know this will happen because it has already happened. It's all bullshit. And on top of all of that, there is no reason that physical there's no reason that physical can't coexist with digital. There is no reason for this whole divide between digital and physical in the first place. Other mediums haven't had this problem. They just haven't. Just because the Kindle exists doesn't mean physical books stopped existing. I'm surrounded by books. I have the Metro books. I have the Halo books. I've got fucking, I've got Roadside Picnic. I've got, what the fuck else? I've got Volume 1 of the Invincible Compendium. I've got a book that my dad helped contribute to the creation of in college. I've got a lot of sci-fi books, actually. I have Reggie Fils-Aimé's autobiography. I have Iwata Says. I've got the Histories by Herodotus because I'm a fucking nerd. I'm looking behind me, that's why my voice sounds different. I've got an Agent of Utopia. I've got The Immortal Irishman. I've got a bunch of books. Books didn't stop existing because digital books started existing. Nor did they stop existing because audiobooks started existing. In terms of music, streaming dominates the music industry now. People decide how popular music is at this point, not by radio plays or disc sales or anything, but by streams, right? How popular is it on Spotify or iTunes, right? And yet, to this day, music is still sold on CD, on vinyl, on cassette tapes. It's never stopped. The physical medium never stopped existing just because the digital medium started. And the same thing with movies and TV. You can still find DVD and Blu-ray box sets of TV shows and movies everywhere. If you want one, you can get one. They still make them, they still sell them. They're everywhere for anything, essentially. Just to reiterate one more time, the physical medium did not stop existing just because the digital medium did. Just because the digital medium started. There is no reason to get rid of physical video games just because digital video games are the new predominant way of playing games. They can coexist, and the idea that things like cost and logistics is just too much is nonsense. DVDs are super fucking cheap. Digital games, not digital games, video games. I'm ranting. I stammer a little bit. I'm sorry. For Sony, these discs cost like $2 to $3, maybe at most like $5 a pop for them to make in a factory. That's how cheap these are. There is no reason for a major company like Sony to stop making them. The only reason they would do it is out of sheer, pure greed and a desire for control. That's it. So yeah, that's the situation. That's the current circumstances, and that's my stance on it, and I ain't moving from that fucking stance. Video games are art. Video games are culture. Video games are history, and they deserve to be preserved and cared for like every other kind. This has been TheRatMan, and I will see you all later.